Imagine finding like the absolute perfect candidate. You extend this great offer, and then boom, your routine background screening just violates international privacy laws.
Yeah, that is a total nightmare scenario for an HR team.
Right. So today we are helping you navigate the legal minefield of cross-border hiring. We are specifically looking at the US, the UK, and Romania.
Because if you were making HR decisions globally, a copy-paste background check policy isn't just lazy. I mean, it is a massive compliance risk.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah,
Because to avoid those crippling fines, you really have to completely reframe what screening actually is today.
exactly. It's not about, just digging for dirt anymore.
Right, think of it this way. A background check should be a targeted spotlight on the specific skills needed for a role, not some massive floodlight exposing a candidate's entire private life.
I love that analogy, and that spotlight approach is really what drives the legal frameworks, though. They do get there differently. Like in Europe, the governing principle is proportionality.
While over in the US, the focus is strictly on job relatedness.
Yeah. What's fascinating here is how that divide plays out on the ground. So in the U.S., under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, HR simply needs a standalone written disclosure to run a check.
You just get this signature and you run the check,
Pretty much, yeah.
which honestly feels like the natural way to do it. You just ask for their consent. But if you try that in the UK or Romania, that signature is practically legally meaningless.
Completely meaningless. Under the GDPR, candidate consent just isn't enough on its own. The logic is built on the inherent power imbalance between an employer and an applicant.
Because if you say no to the check, you risk losing the job.
Right. Which means the consent isn't truly freely given, so HR teams need a concrete legal basis behind that check, like a legal obligation or a proven legitimate interest.
Wow. So if we need such a rock-solid legal basis just to verify standard history, things must get incredibly tense when employers look for highly sensitive information. Like, let's look at criminal records. Romania locks this down completely, don't they?
Oh, they do. In Romania, if you request a criminal record, a cazier judiciaire, without a specific legal mandate, you are risking severe GDPR fines.
And you generally only have that mandate if you're hiring for highly regulated positions, right? Like a security guard or a medical professional.
Exactly. Romania relies very heavily on specific legal obligations.
Okay, so I imagine the UK takes a similar GDPR approach. But don't they operate on a tiered system based on the actual risk of the role?
Yes. In the UK, it is all about proximity to risk. The disclosure and barring service uses a tiered approach. You can't just run a deep, enhanced check on a marketing manager sitting at a desk.
Right, a basic check is fine there.
Yeah. The exceptions order explicitly reserves those enhanced checks for roles where the candidate holds direct power over vulnerable people, like in healthcare or teaching.
Makes sense. And then the U.S. handles this from a totally different angle.
Right. They rely heavily on ban-the-box laws, which restrict when you can even ask about a record.
And when you do find a record, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in the U.S. requires an individualized assessment. You actually have to weigh the specific offense against the specific job duties.
Exactly. Rather than just using a blanket, any record, no job policy.
Okay, wait, let me push back a bit.
Yeah.
We are talking about official records here. What if I'm an HR manager just doing a quick web search and I stumble onto a candidate's highly controversial public social media post? Am I suddenly holding legal dynamite?
You absolutely are. Across all three of these countries, unofficial social media screening is incredibly high risk.
Wait, really? Even if the post is totally public?
Yes, because it exposes you to protected classes, things like a candidate's age, religion, or sexual orientation. The problem is once you see that information, you cannot unsee it.
I get it. If you reject that candidate, they have grounds to argue those protected factors unlawfully influenced your decision.
Exactly. It's a massive liability.
So, knowing these drastic regional differences like GDPR restrictions in Europe versus Equal Employment Opportunity Commission assessments in the US, how does a global HR director actually maintain a standard of fairness without running afoul of local laws?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the overarching best practices transcend those local boundaries. First, if you are managing global hiring right now, your golden rule is role consistency.
Meaning you can't subject a temporary warehouse worker in London to the same scrutiny as a CFO in Chicago.
Exactly. You have to tailor the check to the risk profile of the desk they are sitting at. Second, verify only the qualifications that genuinely matter for that specific job.
Keep that spotlight tightly focused.
Right. And the final rule, Always give candidates a chance to explain discrepancies before any adverse action is taken.
Because a mistaken identity on a court record or just a misunderstood past role can easily be cleared up if you just give the applicant a voice.
Precisely. It protects the company's liability